What is up, YouTube? This is DEFCON 3 Security coming at you from somewhere here on Spaceship Earth. So today's topic is going to be how to interview for a security guard job and the proper questions to ask. So here's the deal. When you are searching for a job, or if you start getting emails from a company like Monster.com or Indeed.com, the first thing you want to look for is the price. What are they offering you? You know, if they throw this $15 to $25, I can assure you they're probably going to offer you $17. They're not going to give you that $25. That's sort of a clickbait. Now, if you look for a job and it says, looking for a guard offering $24 to $27 an hour, yeah, you'll probably make that $24 to $27. But there's going to be stipulations. They're going to say, yeah, that's what we're offering, but it's for a site that's an hour and a half away. They always make it like some difficult venture, right? Sometimes they're honest. They'll offer this amount, and what they offer you, they actually pay you. But just in my humble experience, when they offer you a dollar amount, it's never what's indicated on their advertisement, but rather somewhere that's far away. All right, so there you go. So the first thing you want to look for is pay, right? Because that is the most important thing. We're doing our job to get paid. The next thing is distance. I mean, whew, like how far do you want to drive to get to work every day? I've got a couple of my posts that without traffic would take me an hour and 10 minutes, but with traffic, 2.5 hours. But I'm compensated well for those posts, so I do it. But you got to do the math. Like if you're going to spend, you know, $15, $20 a day round trip for gas, that's pretty much 1 hour worth of work that you work for every day that just goes to gas. So if you got an 8-hour shift, you're really only getting paid for 7 because one of those hours went to paying gas. So always think about that, man. Do the math work, you know. Okay, if this place is 45 miles one way, that means it's going to be 90 miles both ways, and do the math, all right? Well, right here in California, gas is like, for me, $3.25 a gallon, and I got to do, all right, 90 miles a day. You know, you get the idea, right? Some of these jobs, I'm like, wow, dude, I'm paying $475 a month for gas. That's basically like working for free for 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, you know? And then you ask yourself, is that worth it? Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I just worked just to pay gas? I'd rather get something closer that maybe pays me $1 an hour less, but I'm not working just to pay for gas, right? So those are a couple of things to think of, the pay and the distance. The next thing would be, what does the job entail? Is it a standing post or are you going to be sitting all day? Me, I personally rather be sitting all day because when you're sitting all day, you have the option of standing up. But if it's a standing post, you do not have an option of sitting down. They literally want you standing at the door, opening door for somebody, closing it, greeting people, or just being a statue, just to be a visual deterrent. So, yeah, man, if you can get a sitting post, do it. It's going to tax your body to be standing up all day. I don't care how good your shoes are. At the end of the day, your feet are going to hurt. Your lower back's going to start getting compressed. You're going to start having all these ailments. At least I could speak for my part. That's what happened to me when I had a standing post all day. So that's a big determining factor as well. Naturally, benefits come in. You know, does this company offer anything? Now, as far as benefits, I used to work at UPS. Their benefits were awesome. They actually paid for everything. They came free with the company. This was years ago. I don't know if it's still the same. But when I worked at UPS, benefits were free and didn't come out of your paycheck. And man, they covered like 100% of copay. It was awesome. But most companies, you know, the benefits, you got to look at the details. Yeah, you guys offer medical, dental, life insurance. But how much am I going to be paying a month for that? How much are you going to be covering of that? You know, maybe they'll do like a 50-50 or a 30-70. But that's really important. So when they say, yeah, we offer medical benefits, don't get too excited because you might find yourself spending $300 to $400, maybe more per month. on medical insurance, right? So now if you're driving this long distance and you're paying $500 a month in gas, and then you got $500 in medical benefits, now you're at $1,000 in. If the job only pays $2,000 a month, dude, half of your pay is already gone. Take out taxes. Is it worth it, right? Uniform cost. A couple companies I work with, I noticed they charge like $200 for the uniform. My last company, the uniform consisted of a single patch. They charged me $100. I still have to get that $100 back. They haven't paid me for that. You know, I was looking at the online pay stubs, and it said, oh, taxes, this, and that. And then I saw this thing that said uniform costs, -100. And I'm thinking, $100? They never gave me a uniform. And I'm like, they gave me a patch. They didn't even give me a badge, dude. I had to go out and buy a badge. So, you know, $100 is $100, dude. If I found $100, trust me, I'd be excited probably for the rest of my life. Like, damn, can't believe I found $100. So $100 is a lot of money. Another thing is, you know, is the job day shift or night shift? So, as you know, I absolutely hate night shift. I can't get used to it. I don't think it's healthy for you. I know it messes up your body's natural biorhythm. Some people say, well, you know, I take sleeping pills when I work night shift to sleep during the day, and I black out all my windows. And I mean, if you got to go through all those measures to sleep properly in a day, there's something wrong there. That's definitely not healthy. Over the short term, maybe 3, 4, 5 months, you know, maybe you'll be all right. But if you're thinking of doing this for a year or two, it definitely, in my humble opinion, has some health implications. So I would avoid the night shift. But I work with some people that say, hey, man, I got to be with my kid during the day, so I have to work night shift. And I get it, man. There's certain life situations that require you to work night shift. Some people like night shift because it's very solitary, right? You're kind of there by yourself. You don't have to deal with checking people in or checking people out, opening doors. You know, it's pretty smooth. In my experience working night shift, that's when all the crazies come out. When I was securing these project-like apartments, all the big drug deals and fightings and shootings all happened at nighttime. These are things that didn't happen in the day. So night was really rough for me. Couple that with the fact that I, you know, had to sleep during the day, which was really difficult. It was not an ideal job for me. But if you do work night shift, one important thing to ask is, do they pay you extra? I used to work at a metal plant where you would cut metal, and I think they gave you $2 or $3 an hour. And yeah, it was $2 or $3 an hour extra if you worked during the night back then. So sometimes there are monetary reasons to work night because you get paid a little bit more. There's less traffic, right, when you drive at nighttime, and maybe you're not going to get hit with all that traffic and save yourself a little money on gas. So these are some of the things to look at when you are seeking a job. One other thing is, find out if the post is armed or unarmed. I can say this for every company I've worked for. I'm an armed guy, and that's all the jobs I like. I mean, I earned the right to carry my firearm through testing, through training, through paying, through background checks. I'm an armed guy, dude. I do not want to be unarmed because I know that unarmed pays less. I will tell you, though, at every company I've ever worked at, there's been times where they said, hey, we're going to have you go to this post. Oh, by the way, it's unarmed. And my first question is, okay, does it pay less? Yeah, it pays less because it's unarmed. And I'm like, damn. My last company, they knocked, I think, $6 or $7 an hour off my pay to put me at an unarmed post. Didn't even tell me it was unarmed. I had to find out later down the line. One of the managers came out and says, are you carrying a gun? I said, yeah. And he's like, oh, my boss gets back to me and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, that's an unarmed post. Didn't even tell me, dude. That's how unprofessional these, I'm not going to even say it. That's how unprofessional they were. That bothers me to this day. Could you imagine if something happened and I had to discharge my weapon and then turns out we're not even insured for having an armed guard there? So yeah, guys, you got to look out for some of that stuff. You know, if they, yeah, you get the idea. You guys are smart enough to know. So yeah, those are some of the things to look at when you're looking for jobs. When you go apply, most likely you're going to have a phone interview first, and then you'll do like in-person interview. So with the phone interview, do not bring up the pay. At least this is my thoughts. Don't bring up the pay yet. Go through the whole interview process. Let them know who you are, your value, your worth. Let them know that what you made at your old companies, right? Maybe you made more than what you say. It's all part of the strategy, negotiating. But yeah, talk to them. Let them know your value and your worth, right? Ultimately, pay will come up. They'll say, okay, well, look, man, we're really interested in having you. We'd like to have you come do an interview. And you're like, great, so what is the pay? They're going to throw a number at you. And unless that number is ridiculously high, I would personally reject it. I mean, if you feel comfortable with that dollar figure, go for it. But I have never found that a company has offered me money and I just say, oh, yeah, no, I'll take it. It's usually not the case. So negotiate. I'll do a video maybe next time on negotiation from A to B. But negotiate the best way you know how. Maybe go online and look up some videos on how to negotiate with a car salesman. It's basically the same idea. You come up with a number, they come up with a number, you guys meet in the middle. And that's exactly what I do at all of my job interviews. Even with vehicles. When I go purchase a vehicle, I never say, the first thing I don't say is like, well, how much is this car? Right? I let them know where I'm coming from, talk to them for a little while. Then, you know, sometimes the car will have a sticker on it that says $10,000. But I still don't even bring it up. I don't go, okay, so this car is $10,000, right? No, because it's never $10,000. It's what you dictate it's going to be. If they don't want to sell you the car, you bounce. If they don't want to give you the money you offer to hire you, you bounce. Man, you gotta know your worth, right? So hopefully they'll call you back. You'll tell them, I'm just making this number up, right? So let's say they come in at 20, you're like, I want 30. They're gonna laugh and say, well, no, we can't offer 30. And you'll say, well, I'll tell you what, just think about it and call me back later if you come up with another number. Maybe we can meet in a half or something. And you'll be surprised how many times they call you back. Remember, there's a huge demand for security. They just want to get people in there. So, yeah. Then you're going to go to your actual interview. You know, they're going to ask you those basic questions. They're going to say, hey, at this point, the dollar thing is already done. So you're not going to have to worry about talking about pay at your actual, in-person interview because you've already negotiated that. They're going to ask you probably, name a time that you've de-escalated a situation. Well, you better have an answer, man. Don't just sit there and stumble around and say, well, let me see. They're going to ask you, why are you a great asset for this company? Why should we hire you? Name a time that you worked as a team, right? Have you ever been a team player? Have you ever came in at graveyard shift when we called you, or one of your other companies called you, right? These are just the basic questions. So sort of have some things in mind. You obviously don't want to go there and be flustered and not be able to answer properly. But, you got to be confident. That's the whole thing. Confident but not arrogant, right? There's a big difference. And they're often confused. So, oh gosh, I got my cat bugging me, so I got to open the window to let him in. Yep, I got two of them. I got a big one and I got a tiny one. Come on. Come on. All right. So, uh-oh, here they go. Here they go. They're gonna interrupt my video. Man, worst timing too. We're talking about a really serious topic here. Okay. Yeah, I got two. All right. So, sorry guys. Look at this big boy. And we got this one right here. All right. I really do apologize. So yeah, they're going to ask you all those basics and then you're going to answer. Try to be as clear as possible. Don't try to like, don't talk. Don't blabber. Don't be like, yeah, so anyways here, I grew up in whatever, and they don't want to hear that, bro. Just answer the questions. They're going to throw questions at you. Then they're going to say, do you have any questions? my recommendation is to have at least 2 questions for them, even if you have to make up some questions. It's somewhat insulting if somebody says, do you have any questions? And you're like, nope. That just sounds bad. You can say, well, yeah, I do have just a couple questions, basic questions. As far as breaks go, how do you guys deal with that? Or, you know, is there anything on this post that you're sending me to that, you know, any tips you can give me? Anything I should watch out for? Have there been break-ins? You know, keep it professional. Your question's not going to be, hey, when do we get paid? Right? Don't worry about that. That's an HR question. If you need to call up the HR department and ask them, by all means do so. But don't embarrass yourself and ask something stupid like that. Just that they're not there for that. So there you go, guys. Just go in with some confidence. Make sure that everything is clear. You know, I will tell you that at most companies that I've worked at, they will, one post will pay one thing, another post will pay another. But you'll never make less than what your negotiated term is. So for example, let's say they hire me at $20 an hour. And I'm like, cool, I got 20 bucks an hour. They're going to say, hey, do you want to go work at this one post on the weekend? It pays $27. And you're like, oh crap, $7 an hour more. Yeah, I'll go. But they're never going to say, hey, do you want to work at this one post that pays $13 an hour? Generally, whatever your dollar is, they'll either pay you that amount or more depending on the post. But they're not going to downgrade what you make. If they do, and it's just for one day, you know, and you want to make a few extra bucks on the side, do it. But you're not going to find that to be the norm. Like, you're not going to have to deal with that every day. And if you do, that's something to bring up to HR and say, look, man, you guys promised me 20 an hour, but I've been working 3 weeks straight at 15 an hour. You know, that's not what we agreed on. At which point you might start looking for another job. One last thing that I would look for in a company is professionalism. You know, how do I contact you in a case of an emergency? How do I get to HR? Something that's really, really, really important to me, like you have no idea. How do I see my pay stub online? I want to be able to see what they pay me and break it down and say, wait a minute, dude, I worked 30 hours that week. And I know that because throughout the whole week, I keep repeating in my head, oh, I'm going to get paid this much on Friday. I'm going to get paid this much on Friday. Then you get your check and you're like, why is it less than what I thought? You know, take into account taxes and stuff. If you're getting paid less because they're not giving you the hours you worked for, you got to bring that up. If you're not getting that overtime pay, bring that up. Another topic, make sure you're getting paid time and a half. Don't let these guys screw you over. I have been screwed by my last company. When I say last, it could be any one of the 5 last companies I worked for, okay? I'm not saying the last company. I don't want to call anybody out because I don't do that. Nor will I call them out by name. So, but I will say one of my last companies didn't pay me time and a half. They promised me time and a half. And then as the weeks went by, I'm like, why am I getting paid less? And I realized, dude, these guys are not paying me time and a half anymore. I brought it up to them and they were like, well, because you're a supervisor and supervisors don't make time and a half. And I'm like, really? Is that why you offered me the job as a supervisor and paid me $1 an hour more so that you can take away my overtime? I thought it was a great deal. Hey, man, we're going to make you a supervisor on a one-man post, which is weird. And we're going to give you $1 an hour extra. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. But what I didn't know is when I signed as a supervisor, time and a half disappeared. So I was actually making less every week. And I mean a lot less, right? Think about it. I missed out on time and a half. I missed out on double time just to make that $1 an hour extra. Not worth it, dude. So anyways, guys, there's just the basics. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. It's almost 20 minutes. I feel like I probably got something out there. Shoot, I've been on here for 20 minutes, but I do feel like it wasn't completely thorough. So if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments. You know I answer every single comment. If I do miss it, just remind me because sometimes YouTube doesn't tell me that I've received a question. So, hey, this whole thing was about knowing your worth, right? Knowing your value, but above all, in this crazy atmosphere that we are in, be safe.